25 years ago, we presented and published our research and protocols in the production of low-carbon aquaculture, emphasizing in the management of natural trophic chains in the city of Quebec in Canada. Regardless of the complexity of our research, it was overlooked by most shrimp producers in Ecuador. I guess we were ahead of the times. Due to climate change and increasingly strict environmental and trade regulations, and for the benefit of our planet, the industry has greatly changed its mind. The demand in the markets for a traceable product, free of antibiotics, hormones, and artificial preservatives, has become a requirement in such markets. In addition to this, the new rules for imports of the European Union, such as carbon compensation at borders in 2023 and the Clean Competition Act of the United States in 2025, are considerably stricter in terms of their traceability and the need for these products to come from places free of deforestation, be it terrestrial or aquatic, and to respect the natural environment using production methods that are sustainable with the environment and resilient to climate change. For this, you must start with a change in production protocols of aquaculture farms around the world. Times have changed, and the mentality of aquaculturists has changed as well. They have realized that the environment is precisely what will sustain and make it possible for their production to be, first, exportable, and second, more economically profitable. It is important to be very careful in certain primary aspects of low carbon production. The natural environment of the production unit must be respected not only by avoiding deforestation, but by adopting a plan for afforestation and reforestation of mangroves. This strategy would be tremendously beneficial and applicable in a country like Ecuador, in which more than 60,000 acres of mangroves have been cut down in the past 40 years. There are vast deforested lands available for the planting of mangrove trees, which can not only be converted into income through the voluntary carbon market, which is $100 per ton of CO2, but are the origin of the primary and secondary production systems, nutrient source to those same aquaculture operations, in addition to naturally absorbing toxic metabolites from their effluents. Secondly, the feed industry should be guided to significantly reduce the availability of phosphorus and nitrogen in its formulations. There are components in these mixtures which only increase the cost of the feed without having a great impact on a food conversion ratio. Some of the inputs from fish meal do not necessarily contribute to its attractiveness to shrimp, but its palatability. However, they dramatically increase prices and the levels of phosphorus and nitrogen, affecting the quality of water and soils, and accelerating eutrophication and deterioration. In the semi-intensive and extensive crop systems that are handled in Ecuador, the influence of the quality of sludge and waters far exceeds the importance of these components, which supposedly contribute to the increase of the final crop biomass. One has to remember and take it to advantage, of course, that the detrivorous nature of Penaeus vanemi. Strict effluent controls must be included and enforced without any excuses. The same contaminated waters will always find the way back into the farms. Finally, migration to a renewable, clean, and non-polluting energy matrix must be the norm, and not a matter of novelty or luxury. For this change of matrix to really occur, the electric companies and their governing entities must give all the facilities to users and producers to execute this change with transparency, honesty, and patriotism. Any other behavior of such regulatory bodies must be observed, scrutinized, and sanctioned. Gentlemen, we will be watching you up close. What needs to be said and done about the process of decarbonization and protocolization of processes do not stop in a simple measurement of carbon footprint. It is extensive and complex, but of an unusual urgency, given the conditions of climate change and subsequent meteorological phenomena, changes in purchase patterns, falling prices in international markets, and the possible and hopefully correctable potential inability to export to our largest markets due to the absence of hypocarbonizing protocols in our production processes. However, there's a very important incentive to concretize changes beyond the ethical and environmental ones. The entry to the voluntary carbon markets of the aquaculture industry, which boasts the opportunity to become mitigating and compensating agents like never before. With approval of such law, which is being treated for its second debate in the Permanent Commission on Biodiversity and Natural Resources in the National Assembly of Ecuador, Ecuadorian industries could benefit from this global mega industry that should generate the country no less than $2 billion a year. Only flexibility, intelligence, knowledge, and resilience are required. Impossible, the cynics say? I've heard the word often. When it sounds the most, it is just before the change happens. The new carbon-free era has begun.